Welcome to our continued coverage of the TIA Network of the Future Conference. We're here with Dan Pigott, Chief Administrative Officer, Henkels and McCoy. Welcome, Dan.
Thank you.
Henkels and McCoy is one of the country's largest engineering and construction contractors, connecting people by building communications and other utility infrastructure throughout the country. So you have a broader perspective on infrastructure trends, including communications. Would you share with us, what are you seeing in the trends? Is it a lot of new network being constructed, or is it just more throughput in the existing infrastructure? And what are you doing to respond to those trends?
Well, Deborah, we have a lot of news going on at the conference here, how much the network capacity is being stretched and on a throughput. The number of users continues to increase. The capacity of the network needs to continue to grow to meet what they're projecting with 5G will be 40 to 60 times the throughput. What we're seeing on our end of the business, because we're in the physical infrastructure layer of that network, is continued build out both in the wireless space, the various wireless facilities, the densification of the wireless sites. Means a lot of fiber build out to those sites for backhaul. We have continued residential build out for residential service for higher speeds. And you have renewed build out in the long haul network to support all that traffic. So there's a lot of activity, and our company has gone through some change to set up some additional subsidiaries to capitalize on some of the market opportunity we see. So we think it's a good market looking forward, and a lot of growth and a lot of things that are exciting happening in this market.
It's great that you see the positive trends and are working with customers to build the network of the future today. What challenges does the industry have from a regulatory standpoint in building out the networks?
Well, there's significant challenges around what we're going to do around privacy regulation and cybersecurity and a lot of those regulatory issues. There's regulatory issues around spectrum and spectrum availability. And all those things can end up limiting what happens going forward to meet the demand. But the consumers still want more capacity. They want video at their fingertip. They want mobile. They want their car connected. And all of those things require rethinking some of the regulations around that network. On our end of the business, we see it impacting us even in terms of just building out some of the network. The amount of time it takes to go through permitting and siting on some of the sites can be months. Some of the permits for doing build out on fiber networks and things that support, and this is the physical infrastructure. This is not the glitzy end of the business, so to speak, with the software regulations and things, can take 6 months and more. So those are the types of things that I think that we can look at streamlining some of the processes, and some of the other harder regulatory issues, they need to be worked out in Washington, and we need the leadership to do that.
And what other challenges are there beyond the regulatory issues?
If you look at the changes that are going to occur in the network to meet the network in the 5G world, so you're going to have NFV and SDN. The operating system is the new pillars, along with the physical infrastructure that supports that, is going to change the complexion of the network. That's going to change where a lot of the network activity occurs. So you're going to have front haul in front of some of these things as opposed to just the back haul. We're going to have other changes in terms of even user devices to a certain extent. So I think there's things that we need to do as an industry to both arrive at standards that help give us guidance, because it takes time for planning out what's going to happen in the future, and those standards are needed to do that in a uniform way. At the same time, we can't wait until all of the standards are perfected and locked and loaded the way you might have done in yesteryear. So it is going to be an iterative process, but it's going to take a lot of collaboration between a lot of players.
What do you think TIA can do to help the industry and the country with these challenges?
I think TIA plays an important role for the industry in terms of being a group that can bring people together that is not aligned. They're pretty much equipment agnostic. They're looking for something that is interoperable. And so that being the case, they can help bring groups together to arrive at a collaborative solution for things, whether it's on the policy front, whether it's in the standards. And I think they do a lot of important work in both those areas. And I'd like them to continue to do that. And quite frankly, others in the industry need to be joining those discussions and working for a collaborative solution as opposed to solving things in silos, because if we do that, we will not reach the end goal we need to get to.
Thanks so much.
Well, thank you for having me.